Hi, I'm Child of Bones, and today just going to briefly touch on a subject about Glamoury. So my friends and people I've met on the way, on my path, who were quite good at glamour used Ascended Masters or fairy magic. I personally haven't had a lot to do with either of those streams of power, so I used my own techniques with the power that was available to me. And the cool thing about being a witch is that that's what we do. We just make do and become innovative with whatever's available and see what works, what doesn't work, and certainly learn when it goes wrong and have some good tales to tell. So when it comes to Glamoury, what I did is I went to my most readily available power, which at the time was the Black Widow spider emanation of the Dark Mother. So she, in her own right, is like a demigod status or a goddess. The Black Widow has seductive power, so I tapped that for Glamoury in order to appear seductive. I don't know if it would have worked if you wanted to necessarily change your appearance. I think it would work for shielding, protection, and possibly to be, well, no, not possibly, definitely to be cloaked and to become hidden and be in the shadow. So it would work for that, but not necessarily, we're not thinking necessary glamour catwalk model. So you'd go more for, you know, goddesses of beauty. You'd go for Aphrodite, wouldn't you? Or you'd go for love goddesses, lusty goddesses. You'd go for the Red Mother, exquisite beauty, enhancement, adoration of the female form. So as a female, you'd go for that. I wasn't, like I said, I went for the most readily available power to me. I was only trying it out. I wanted to see if it would work. So I was playing around with some techniques, and so the Black Widow goddess said to me, yep, we can do it, well, let's give it a go, and why don't you stick to something that's not important for survival, so stick to, you know, something that you would find quite vain and then lose interest with, so it's not going to build up over time, but then you can also not have much side effect, you know, if you're commented on and it's worked, or you see it yourself, fine, but you're not relying on it, but you've practiced the technique enough that should you ever need it in a hurry, in a certain circumstance that's, you know, where it's required and the importance to use enhance, then you know what to do. And that's how it happened, really. So I went for the whole vein, what I would call my vein exercise, and of course I loved every minute of it because it was really just like applying lippy every day, which I like. So what the Black Widow taught me to do was to summon the power within myself. So as she was my most readily available power source, that was easy. So it was to drum up and summon her presence within me. And at the time I was concentrating on the Hara, the Dantian, or what some metaphysicians these days would also possibly call a hidden chakra. So it was all around that area, so around the umbilicus, if you like, or just below. So it was around there. So that's where I summon her power with ease. So I summoned that, and what it was actually doing a grid, forming a grid, or in her case it was like a spider's web, but every time I do a grid anyway it always ends up looking like one, so maybe that's just me or my visualization. So summoning the power within and forming a mental grid outside yourself, okay, so very like a gossamer fine web weave, so it's not like a cage, it's not something that's not going, this is something you want temporarily, so it's not a fixed structure as such. And practicing Glamoury, so it was forming the web, okay, this little web, this fine web that was going to just disintegrate in, you know, in a few hours or a day. I can't remember what I said. This was years ago I did it. So what I did is I mentally charged it, if you like, with my will. So I set up this, dropped this curtain, if you like, of see-through spider web type material, and charged it with the intention. I can't exactly remember what I said at the time, but it was something about enhancing my natural beauty and femininity, some such thing like that, you know. Certainly my life wasn't depending on it, so it was just, you know, being light and playful and seeing if this was going to work. Summoning the power within, coming out, so it was coming out in layers until it met the net that had been set in my mind, and then they merged. And then so it's holding out in my auric space, if you like, or in the space around me, in my chi field. There's a charge of intention and the powers met it. And what I did is I played with that for a couple of days just to see, was it working, was it not working? And what happened for me within a couple of days of doing that every day was that a magical friend and I met up, and we were actually going to do something. We're going to do something quite sad, actually. We're going to visit a friend that was very ill in hospital, and we had a lot of concern about whether I should pull through. And so we didn't meet up in the usual way of, you know, what have you been up to? We actually met, and we were rushing to get to our friend's bedside. And on the way, my friend who does practice magic said to me, "Francesca, what have you done? Have you lost weight? Have you cut your hair? You look amazing." And then she, like, literally, this was hilarious, rubbed her eyes in the street, even though we're in this important mission, and was just saying, "You've done something, haven't you? I don't know what it is." And I was like, oh my God, you know, because we're full of concern. Oh my God, I've been practicing Glamoury with the Black Widow goddess, and she gave me a very simple spell, and it must have worked because, you know, my friend that had known me for years was convinced that I'd done something major to myself, and of course I hadn't. And, you know, the spell ebbed away, and now from that I know what to do if I needed to do something, you know, that actually was what I would call more important. So the other thing is, what I wanted to mention though, that if you're going to tap a power that you wanted that was going to specifically hold something for you, and maybe you don't have a power source or know what would be appropriate, or maybe your power source wouldn't suit that kind of Glamoury, is that I have got the Love and Lust little balm here that's sold in my shop. This is a red mother, and what I would say, if you couldn't summon the power, or you didn't feel that you could feel it, because I'd always say give it a try, you know, like try and summon a god form that you're comfortable with, or a power, or ask for their stream. From this, it's just got the stream of the red mother, a certain part of her river of power, if you like, of love and lust. So what you could do with this is put it around your navel, and do what I said about doing the net with the fine tweaking of what you want mentally for it to merge with, and you could put that in and blend the power. And I'd practice in that way, because when it comes to that kind of thing, it's not a set structure. It's very fine. It's set for like several hours, you know, less than a day, with something that you wanted to. This isn't an integrated working. Glamoury is something that it's like putting on a dress or a costume, if you like, around ourselves. And in order to maintain something, it really has to have power. You have to add your chi to it. You have to be very focused on it. And you know, it's not a thought form. It hasn't actually. Well, it is a slight thought form, but not on a power it's not being fed off something like the sun, or a power source, or a crystal, where it can continue almost in a life of its own. So this is a very fine structure. You have to keep feeding it in order for it to stay. So it's kind of like, it's a nice way to try magic and see what you can do. And of course, if you ever are in a position where you want to be, you know, appear 6 feet tall, where you want to appear confident, where you want to really get your message across in a crowd of people, in a situation, you know, where you want to maybe come across as quite bold, clear, confident, or an authority on a subject, then, you know, practicing, you know, about your looks or beauty or love or something is a nice way for it not to mean too much. But then when you get the technique right and know what to do, then you can actually call forth in situations where you're going to rely on this, you can actually call forth and actually do it before a presentation, before an interview at work, or, you know, anything that's important to you in a meeting. So that's it really, just a little talk about Glamoury, or my small use of Glamoury really, because I certainly haven't used it a lot, but it worked when I did.